It all began with a sound, the soft click of the backseat lock sliding into place behind me, a quiet signal that sealed us into this moment. We were parked in the farthest corner of a rundown outlet plaza on the north edge of Phoenix, right near the old tire shop that hadn't been open in years. The lot was a graveyard of cracked asphalt and faded lines, the kind of place where people came to forget or be forgotten. A flickering light above us buzzed but didn't work, casting the car in a dim, muted shadow that blurred the edges of reality. The air inside was thick, warm, and still, heavy with the scent of sweat and something minty, probably from the gum Jake always chewed when he was nervous. I was on my knees in the back seat, one hand braced on the armrest between the front seats, the other gripping the fabric of the headrest to steady myself. The leather was cool against my skin, grounding me in a way that felt both foreign and necessary. He was behind me, tentative at first, slower than I expected, thicker than I was ready for. My breath caught as he pushed in, and I exhaled into the seat with a muffled gasp, something between a whisper and a plea. I wasn't sure if I wanted him to stop or not. My body didn't give me a choice. My forehead pressed against the leather, my fingers curled tight, and the stretch of him was almost unbearable for a moment. But I didn't pull away. I couldn't. I didn't want to. His hand moved under my t-shirt, tracing along my ribs with a slowness that felt deliberate, then up over my chest, not rushed, not greedy, just aware, like he had memorized every inch of me in his head and was now finally brave enough to explore it for real. His touch wasn't clumsy. It was careful, intentional, like he was afraid that if he moved too fast, I might break, or worse, regret it. I could hear his breathing behind me, ragged and shaky, but steady in a way that anchored me, even as my mind spun. The windows fogged almost instantly, moisture clinging to the glass like a secret trying to escape. I shifted slightly, and he adjusted, his palm tightening around my hip. Deeper, slower, like he wanted to savor every second. My legs trembled as I tried to steady myself, but he must have noticed. He held my hips in place, like he knew I needed help staying present. It was overwhelming, and yet I didn't want him to stop. The car rocked gently with each movement, the suspension groaning beneath us like it was protesting our recklessness. Somewhere in the distance, a car drove past on a nearby road, headlights flashing across the fogged glass for a second before disappearing into the night. I froze, my heart lurching as if we'd been caught. Jake leaned forward, his chest warm against my back, his breath hot on my neck. "You okay?" he whispered, his voice low and rough, like he was holding himself together by a thread. I nodded before answering, my voice barely audible. "It's a lot." "I know," he murmured, his lips brushing the shell of my ear. But he didn't stop, and I didn't ask him to. The rhythm grew deeper, slower, and my mind emptied out. My body stopped resisting, stopped second-guessing. My breath hitched with every thrust, every soft brush of his fingers against my skin. And then I broke. I came. Too fast, too loud. It ripped out of me like a wave, unstoppable, crashing through every wall I'd built. His hand moved gently over my mouth, not forcefully, just enough to quiet the sound. I don't know if I cried or moaned into his palm. Maybe both, maybe neither. When it ended, we didn't speak. We just stayed there, still, my limbs slack, my body weightless, his chest resting against my back, one of his hands still on my hip, holding me like he didn't want me to disappear. I reached down with shaking fingers and pulled up my leggings, my mind still trying to process what had just happened. The windows were still fogged, the air thick with the smell of skin and sweat and something that felt like truth. I stared at the blurry glass, tracing a tiny clear patch with my breath, like I was trying to see the world outside again. And then it hit me. Not in some dramatic way, but in that slow, creeping, undeniable realization. I thought I knew where my lines were. I thought I'd built a life around discipline, around doing the right thing, around making sure no one ever questioned who I was or what I stood for. But now, here I was, breathless and wrecked in the back seat of a 21-year-old's car. I'm 38. He used to be my son's best friend, and now I don't know what to call him. He first started coming around last summer, back when things still felt normal. Back when I could still convince myself I was just a mom, just a wife, just a woman going through the motions of a life I'd chosen long ago. Jake was my son Ethan's friend from college, a constant presence in our house since they started rooming together freshman year. He had this magnetic energy, the kind of presence that made people comfortable around him, like he belonged no matter where he was. At first it was innocent, rides from campus, backyard barbecues, playlists blasting from the living room speaker while the boys sprawled on the couch, laughing about nothing. Jake was always polite, always respectful, but there was something in the way he looked at me. Never overt, never inappropriate, just present. Like he saw me as more than Ethan's mom. Like he saw me. It started with small things. He'd stay late after Ethan went to bed, lingering in the kitchen while I cleaned up, asking about my day like he actually cared about the answer. He'd offer to help carry groceries from the car, his fingers brushing mine when he took the bags. He'd sit at the counter while I prepped dinner, talking about his classes, his dreams, his childhood in a small desert town outside Tucson. I found myself laughing more, lingering longer, looking forward to those moments when it was just the two of us, even if they were fleeting. Then it turned into weekends, holidays, and one weekend in March, when Ethan went to visit his father in Denver, Jake showed up at our door anyway. He said he forgot the plans had changed, that he thought Ethan was still home. His eyes said otherwise. I should have sent him home. I should have said, Ethan's not here. Try again next week. Instead, I opened the door wider and asked if he wanted iced tea. That was the first domino. That was the moment I stopped pretending I didn't feel something when he looked at me too long, that I didn't enjoy the way his eyes lingered when I walked into a room, that I didn't hear the way he said my name, soft, thoughtful, like it meant something. Over the next few months, I found myself noticing him in ways I hadn't before, the way his hair fell differently after he got it cut, the faint scent of cologne he started wearing, subtle but deliberate. The way his laugh changed when it was just the two of us, quieter, like it was meant only for me. I told myself it was harmless. I was just lonely. My husband, Mark, was always working late, always traveling, always distracted. Our marriage wasn't broken, but it was tired, worn thin by years of routine and unspoken compromises. Jake was just a spark, a momentary distraction, nothing more. But I knew better. My body knew better. One night in late April, I couldn't sleep. I went downstairs for water and found him on the couch, shirtless under a throw blanket, watching some old movie on mute. Ethan had already gone to bed. I stood there for a second too long, my robe pulled tight around me, my heart beating faster than it should have. He looked up, his eyes scanning me, not predatory, not leering, just curious. I didn't say anything. I just sat at the far end of the couch and stared at the TV with him, neither of us really watching. After a few minutes, he turned to me and asked, "Do you ever wish things were different?" My stomach twisted. Different how? Like, if you hadn't married so young, if you got to start over. I didn't answer right away. I didn't need to. He saw it in my silence. "You're not crazy," he said quietly, his voice steady but gentle, "for needing more than this." And that was the night I stopped lying to myself. It wasn't just loneliness. It wasn't just curiosity. It was connection, craving, fire I didn't even know I still had. And he lit it. After that, it became a slow unraveling, a casual text that made my heart skip. "Hey, you around tonight?" A late-night ride to Walgreens when he said he needed shampoo, but took the long way home, the city lights blurring past us as we talked about nothing and everything, the way his hand would brush mine just a little too long when I handed him a drink. I started dreaming about him, vivid, reckless dreams that left me waking with his name on my lips. I told myself I hadn't done anything wrong, not yet, but my body knew I was lying, and so did his. Eventually, we stopped pretending. The first kiss wasn't in some romantic place. It was in the hallway, late at night, when he was headed to the guest room and I was locking up the house. We crossed paths. He said goodnight. I said it back. And then neither of us moved. His hand found my hip. Mine curled around his wrist. He leaned in so slowly I could have stopped it 100 times. But I didn't. Our lips met like they were finishing a sentence we'd both been writing in silence for months. It was soft at first, then urgent, like we'd both been holding our breath for too long. And just like that, everything shifted. From that point on, we communed.